Camera Corner, TB. Hey, there he is. What's going on, man?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Adam met everyone. AJR, how you been?
I'm doing well. I am doing well. I am indoors all the time, but I'm doing well.
You and I both, man. You and I both. Uh, it was, dude, the last time I interacted with you and the brothers, it's been about a few years. You guys came to Oshkosh several years back for our last back to school show in Oshkosh. That was the last time we actually got a chance to interact in some type of way.
Yeah. I think we did that show a couple times. It was in the parking lot of the mall. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
great show.
It was a great show. The last time, though, it was really windy, and they set the stage up, I remember, in a different spot. It was on the other side of the strip mall. And I just remember the last time we did it, because you guys performed at the last one, it was super windy that day. That's what I remember the most, was how windy it was.
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah. So how have things been for you? How's life changed for you over the last several weeks with everything going on in the world?
Things are very weird.
Yeah.
We are very disappointed that we had to postpone our tour, which was supposed to come up to Green Bay. We don't have any dates on when that's going to be moved to yet, but one of our favorite things is to be out on the road, and to not be able to hit these cities when we're supposed to is incredibly disappointing. But at the same time, we've learned a bunch of new skills, taking time to kind of self-reflect and figuring out, okay, who am I at this point without being on the road? Who am I, without seeing and being in front of fans? It's been like an interesting reflective process.
Yeah. So how are the brothers, by the way? They're doing well?
Yeah, they're doing great. A lot of new music is coming. A lot of new
I see
music.
you guys have been doing a lot of things, a lot of videos with Bang. You guys did the one Wash Your Hands video, which went viral. That was really cool. And then I just saw you guys had vitamin bottles, shaking them and stuff. You guys were in a bedroom and performing it again. Bang is doing really well, by the way. I think it's what, top 10 alternative charts as we speak right now.
Yeah, it's all a testament to the fans who are listening to it and streaming it and downloading it and liking it. And I just really appreciate that. It's crazy that a time where people aren't really in their cars, people aren't really in a place where they normally listen to the radio, they're still listening to the radio and,
Yeah.
appreciating the music. So all I am is thankful for that.
Yeah. Now, for you, I know you're a huge human rights advocate. I wanted to ask you, how does one find time? I mean, you have a little bit of a break right now with quarantining and stuff, but how does one find time to be in a band, travel all the time, and still have time to study for their PhD?
It's a
How
good
does
question.
how does that work?
It's a good question. I wouldn't be me without doing all of those things. So
Yeah.
I kind of use each of them as a way to get away from the other. So when we're on the road and it's a grind all the time, it sounds weird, but I use my PhD to kind of cool down and relax and have my mind just think about
Yeah.
something completely different. And because each of these things are all encompassing, they really let you completely focus your mind on something. Like
Yeah.
the music, when I'm on stage, all I'm thinking about is that, and nothing else is going through my mind. And when I'm doing schoolwork, focusing on my PhD, that's the only thing I'm thinking about. So it's kind of like a meditative process, to have something that you really just completely focus on.
Now, your PhD, that's studying towards what exactly?
I'm studying international human rights law and its
Okay.
relationship to sustainability.
Okay. What's the living arrangement? Are you guys all living in New York? Because you guys are all from New York originally, right?
Yep. Yeah, we were all born and raised in New York.
Okay, and did you all decide to stay there as well, or is it a little spaced out in between, or?
Yeah, we all want to stay in New York. We've been, asked to, oh, will you move to LA? Will you move to these other cities? But we are born and raised New York and are going to stay in New York. And right now, Jack and Ryan are in their apartment just across town from where I am now.
Nice. So it's always very convenient, very easy to get together if you guys want to work on new material. It's not a thing of having to travel and go out of the way to meet up with one another.
Yeah, we want to make it easy because inspiration can strike at any time. Ryan usually wakes up at 3 in the morning because he has an idea for a melody or a lyric, and he'll start working on something, and then he'll go back to sleep, and he won't remember that he woke up and did it until he looks at his computer in the morning.
You guys growing up in New York, I talked to artists, and some of them are part of the social media generation where they were discovered their music, they were doing covers and this and that. You guys even started a little bit even before the social media craze you guys started off what, singing on the streets, or you three were together,
Yeah.
and how did this come about?
Yeah, I mean, street performing culture is such a big part of New York City. So just
Yeah.
growing up here and in the park, seeing people breakdancing, singing, doing puppet shows, whatever it is they do, we kind of wanted to be a part of it. And we said, okay, why don't we learn how to perform and learn how to play for crowds on the street? And honestly, that was the best thing we ever could have done, because you never get more nervous than
Yeah.
performing for people who don't want you to perform for them. These people just want to go about their day. They don't care about seeing music. They want you to just shut up and go away. So, you know,
How did it come about? Was it a huge musical family? Were your parents involved? How did it come about where you three collectively decided? I mean, was it a day where you just went up to your parents and said, "Hey, this is what we want to do. We want to learn music. We want to learn an instrument," or were you already kind of bored into it with a musical background with family and siblings?
our dad played us a lot of old records from the 50s and 60s. He was really big fans. He was a really big fan of the Beach Boys, Simon and Garfunkel, the Beatles, music like that.
Yeah.
And so listening to those harmonies, and especially on the old vinyl, it sounds so different and, emotional, that it really got us involved in that. But we don't really have any family members that were big musicians. It was really just listening to the music that inspired us.
Besides you three, is there another sibling? Are there any sisters, other brothers that no one knows about?
I
Or is it
wish there
just you
was a
three?
secret. I wish there was a secret sibling. That would be funny to like go on Jimmy Fallon and be like, "Oh my God, there's a fourth sibling." But no, it's just
Yeah.
the three of us.
There's three. So what are the, I mean, those have got to be extremely low odds that all three siblings would just so happen to have the same interests, let alone be in the same group together.
Yeah, it's interesting because we have the same interest in that we're all interested in music, but we divide up the responsibilities a lot, and we let each of us gravitate towards the things that we're best at. I mean, Ryan is really great at producing. Jack is really, really good at coming up with melodies that sound like hit songs. And I focus a lot more on like the business side and the marketing side. And we started our own label and things like that. And because we trust each other, because we're family, we let each of us kind of run with our own jobs. And I think that's the thing that's made us most successful. The fact that we really trust each other and don't get in each other's way for each of our, specific talents.
That was actually going to be one of my questions for you, but a little bit later, it was that dynamic of being in a group with family. You've got groups, Jonas Brothers and Echo Smith. Those are just like some of the first two right now that come to mind as far as bands that are based with family. What's your guys' strategy to stay in focus and just being a group where there's family involved? But I mean, you talked about the division of work, but what's the approach that you guys do to make sure that you stay successful and not let anything get in the way of the business, most importantly family, when it comes to working together?
Sure. I think it's all about respect and trust, because we're always going to be family no matter what happens with the band.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're staying together. We're continuing to put out new music, but we are going to be family for, I don't know, as long as we live. So that comes first and foremost. So it's all about respect and treating each other with respect when it comes to the music, when it comes to stuff not having to do with the music. That just allows our family to run properly and allows the band to run properly.
How did Bang come about? I mean, I think all of your guys' songs, they're all just fun, upbeat. And even with some of the lyrics that sometimes can be a little darker, because I'm starting to notice with the music, it's starting to be like a realization I feel when I listen to these songs that, okay, like they're growing up, like they're starting to talk about things that are like going on now in their life. But this is my question. How do you guys, who's the mastermind behind Bang, number one?
Yeah, so the idea behind Bang, that was Ryan's idea. And he wanted to write a song about that time between being a kid and being an adult, and kind of, splashing onto the scene of being an adult without really knowing what you're doing, and leaving that childhood like innocence, but as much as you can holding onto it and taking it with you into adulthood.
Yeah. Neo Theater World Tour, that tour kicked off, September last fall. And then you guys, that wasn't even just the North American tour. That was a world tour. Yeah. So the first leg of that ended in December. And then I would think around November, you guys were adding dates for 2020. You guys, as you mentioned earlier, you guys were going to be here in Green Bay. A lot of people are bummed out about that. Like, there's so many AJR fans here in Northeast Wisconsin, but May 31st, to be exact, you guys were going to be playing in Green Bay at the Resch. How bummed were you guys when this whole thing came about? Because the second leg of the tour was actually supposed to start, what, about 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, I mean, we were supposed to be in South America for Lollapalooza.
Lollapalooza,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. And
Yeah.
I mean, I was so looking forward to that. I've never been to Brazil, Argentina, Chile, those countries before. I was so looking forward to it. But it's looking like that'll be rescheduled too. We're just really bummed. I mean, a bunch of the cities that we're hitting on the tour, we've never been to before and never played before. And the fact that we could sell these venues and sell tickets in places that we've never been to before is insane to us. And obviously, we've been to Green Bay a bunch of times. We're big fans of Green Bay. The fans there are amazing. And you guys have always been so supportive of us. So thank you for that. But
Yeah.
it's a real disappointment. But, you know, the next time we can go out on the road, we will be back and better than ever.
Before, when you guys were coming to Green Bay, it was usually like the Meyer Theater or something along those lines. This time, you guys were going to be playing the Resch Center. I was going to ask you, as a musician, for your guys' sound, what do you find to be better? Do you enjoy playing the smaller theaters better, or the bigger arenas, or do you love the outdoor shows more?
You know, it's really nice to change it up. It's really cool to go and play an arena and say, you know, I played this arena. Look at all the people that are here. But at the same time, it's also nice to go back to the, you know, 200, 300 person clubs where you can see every single person's face and how they're reacting to every little piece of the show. That's really rewarding as well. So, yeah, I mean, I like both.
I see a question here from Lauren who wants to ask, who won the Easter egg Neo Theater contest? You guys had an Easter egg contest, is that right?
The Easter, oh, for the Easter eggs in the album. It was
Okay.
just Easter, so, you know, it was confusing. But on our album Neo Theater, every single song has a piece of another song in it. So we left a bunch of Easter eggs throughout the album, and we held a contest, and people had to find all of the Easter eggs in the album. To answer that question, I don't remember the person's name. There were so many people that entered, and so many people did a great job, but I don't remember the person's name who won. But
Yeah.
I know that they were going to come to the show in Park City, Kansas. I remember that
Nice.
that's the show that they won tickets and a meet and greet to.
Neo Theater, the album. It's your guys', this is what, the third album for you
Yep.
guys? So what's the approach every time you guys are going into, what's the game plan going into each album as far as the sound, lyrics, influences? What do you guys, when you guys get together, what's the mindset going into recording a whole new album?
Yeah, I mean, the album is about the album as a whole. For
Yeah.
us, it's all about creating a body of work that really will convey a single message. And you can say that message in so many different ways or tell a story through all the different songs. But for all of our albums, they're in a way concept albums because we use different ideas to convey it. So in Neo Theater, we had that kind of orchestral feeling throughout many of the songs on the album. And on the Click, I mean, and also in Neo Theater, you had all these Easter eggs that tied them together. On the Click, you had this idea of the Click following your own kind of metronome, your own voice. And the next album we're working on now has kind of a mix of those. I'm not going to give any more, you know,
Yeah.
away about it, but it has a mix of those ideas and kind of taking it to that next level. But it's all about that kind of big picture of what the album is trying to say, and then you write songs that kind of fill in that story.
I would mention influences. Was Weezer also? Because I know on the last album you guys did "Sober Up" with Rivers Cuomo of Weezer. Was Weezer a band that you guys looked up to growing up?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
How did that come about?
Weezer has done such an amazing job of being both nerdy and cool at the same time.
Yeah.
And I mean, that is such a hard thing to do. You know, in the 90s, transitioning from like the cool muscled guys to actually having somebody who's a nerd be cool. And we really wanted to kind of follow that trend because, I mean, we're all nerds.
Yeah. There's some comments that are coming in right now. So many people were really excited. I was eventually going to ask you if you guys were writing new material for a new album. And a lot of people were really excited to hear that there is going to be a new album. Question just came in, someone asking, what was the main instrument that you mostly played before the bass?
Before the bass, I played
Yeah.
the piano. I took some piano lessons when I was growing up, but we needed a bass player, so I picked up the bass.
Is that how it all started? Did all three brothers start out doing piano, or did you kind of all
Uh,
do your own thing with different instruments?
Ryan and I started on piano, and Jack started on drums. Actually, drums were Jack's first instrument, and when we come and do the Neo Theater show in Green Bay, you'll see Jack has a few moments where he plays some drums in the show.
Nice. How is it? How would you describe your guys' relationship once you get inside the studio? Like, because it can't be always 100% of the time just peachy keen jelly bean. I mean, there've got to be some tense moments. I mean, you're recording an album, and there's stuff that goes into it. And yeah, you're with family, you're with your brothers that you love, but it's also three different people, and you're doing it as a profession. Like, this is how you pay your bills now. So what's the group's relationship once you guys get inside the studio and the creative process of working together to record new stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a little bit of a different process from most other bands. The writing and the production happens at the same time. The production for our music is just as important to us as the writing, and we feel like it's almost part of the writing. So everything is almost done for the song before the final vocal is added. And all of that stuff happens before we even get together in a studio. It happens when, Ryan is at his computer working with Jack on what the sounds are going to sound like and what the melodies are going to sound like. And because it's such a different process, it's a different kind of result. So we kind of know what the song is going to sound like from the beginning when we even have the demo. Because so many people write demos and it's just a guitar or it's just a piano. Our demos have a lot of the production built in because that's such an important part of the song to us. But I mean, we share the songs around, we each give our feedback, and it kind of goes into this melting pot. And it's because we're brothers, it's really easy to say, I'm not a fan of that, and nobody gets offended. So it's at least pretty easy.
Who would be the most likely to snitch on the other? Like, if they're having a bad day in the studio and they would like call up mom and like tell on you guys, who would most likely be the one to do that?
Oh, I don't know. Uh, let's say Jack.
Jack would.
Yeah, we're gonna throw Jack under the bus.
um, with it being a group, again, it's three brothers but three separate lives. You guys are on your own life journey individually. Do you guys ever meet every now and then, just kind of get together, maybe once a year, a couple times of the year, just kind of check in and make sure, okay, this is the same vision, we all still want to do this? Because at any time, one of them could go, I don't know, maybe I'm kind of ready to do something else. Do you guys usually give each other that kind of courtesy of meeting together a couple of times during the year, just kind of see where everyone is, the mindset and everything going forward with the group?
Absolutely. We do it a few times a year, and we do it with our manager too,
Yeah.
because we're all so excited about art in general and, conveying emotion through art. And whether it's through music or writing a TV show or producing movies or writing a book or whatever it is, we just want to be able to convey emotion through art. So obviously we're going to keep putting out music and keep performing, but there might be some other projects you see along the way.
What else? I was wondering, besides the music, what else? Because you guys are really creative, and what I really enjoy and appreciate the most is when I watch you guys' videos every so often online, where it involves the creative process. When you guys, I'm just amazed with what comes like from your brain to the instrument, when the creative process, when you guys are making the songs. I'm just, what is what are other things that you guys are doing outside of music? Because it seems that even if AJR was to be done today, I feel like you three would be involved in something that has to do with creativity.
Absolutely. We couldn't not be involved in something that was creative. Um, Jack is very into film, so I'm just gonna leave it there, and that he's working on some projects in that space, and they're pretty amazing. Um, I'm working obviously on my PhD, and I also run a nonprofit at the same time. But it's all about creative ways to share messages of sustainability in all of these different ways. And Ryan has done a lot of writing and producing for other artists, and he's doing some of that now. But these are all things that can be done at the same time as the band. I mean, we see the band continuing on to, when we're in our 50s, 60s. That would be
Absolutely.
amazing. But we're all taking on creative things that we can do at the same time.
Someone just put in the comments like, AJR, done never say that. Don't say that. I didn't mean it like literally. It just meant in terms of, because these are things that obviously as a group, this is every group in the history of music. This is stuff that sometimes you have to, I mean, you have to think about that.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that also I think helps you guys stand out, what I also love is the cover art. Like you guys have these cartoon or these computer generated, who's usually behind the cover art for you guys? Because that's really cool.
Yeah, so Ryan always does a sketch first.
Okay.
The first sketch he did was actually on a napkin. And we find artists on Instagram. That's how we do it. We always look through Instagram and find artists that we like their style. And we say, look, we're putting together an album. We'd love if you could do the art. And they send us some kind of drafts, and we are very involved with it along the way. But we always want to help new up-and-coming artists to be, get their work out there and be part of this project. So we generally come up with the theme, and then we bring in artists to develop it.
What is the number one thing you've probably been missing the most since social distancing? Like in terms of your own personal, like for me, it's getting a haircut. Like I'm working with a lot. I'm wearing hats nonstop because my stuff is now out to here. What's the thing you've been missing the most since this whole thing's been going on?
You know what's funny about that? I started growing out my hair in like December. So it's actually perfect timing for me because it's gotten really long. I'm just going to let it keep growing. So I don't need to get a haircut. But I miss sitting in a restaurant. I miss not washing dishes. That is like such a big thing for me. I have so many dishes piled up that I'm probably going to go do right after this interview.
So you guys didn't stock up on paper plates before the pandemic?
No, it's not sustainable.
What's the first thing that you're probably going to do when this is all over with, finally?
First thing I'm going to do, I don't know. For some reason, I just had the thought that I want to go on a roller coaster. That sounds really, fun, and will get my blood pumping.
All right. Before we let you go, Adam, I'm going to ask you 5 rapid-fire questions, and one of them relates to you. You choose which brother this would most likely relate to, okay?
Let's do it.
All right. First rapid fire. Who is the best cook of the 3?
Me.
Yeah?
Yep.
What do you specialize in? What's your best dish that even the brothers can't deny? Like, okay, we bow to him.
I really love Asian soups, so I do all kinds of ramen.
Okay. Next one. Who is the most athletic of the 3?
Jack, definitely, no question.
All right. Who is the messiest?
Ryan.
Ryan's the messiest.
Yep.
Who is the most romantic? Who has the most game of the 3 brothers?
I think Jack is the most romantic.
Okay, and last one. Who's mom's favorite?
Let's go with Jack. Jack is
Jack?
mom's favorite. Yeah,
why is that?
Maybe.
Hey, social media so for you individually, how can everyone get in touch with you?
Adam AJR Brothers everywhere, and the band account is AJR Brothers.
Okay, good stuff. Neo Theater, that is out. You said the tour, no date specific, nothing's been rescheduled yet, so that's still to come.
To be as safe and as healthy as possible, so we are going by what the government says, each state individually, and we'll only do it when it's safe for everyone to come out.
Nice, cool. All right, man, that is out. Bang is the song. I love Bang. It was number 4 last night in the top 9 at 9. So you guys are definitely trending up with this track. It's a great track. We love it. I appreciate the time, Adam, for you joining. Stay safe, man. Stay healthy.
You too. Thanks so much.
Thanks, man. Have a good one.